trusting you.
Yeah, my friend's baby, and I don't know too many people.
Give up on them.
I hope you don't get sick.
Sorry.
No, I won't get sick.
Okay.
I'm well prepared.
It's balmy out today.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking.
All right.
Did you get my attendance? Did you say I'm here?
We didn't
Well,
even
we
do
haven't,
it.
we'll go ahead and get started right now. I was waiting for you to catch a seat. I get the honor of calling to order the first, right, the meetings in January. So so we'll go ahead and call to order. And then Kyle, would you call the roll, please?
Yeah. Rice,
Yes.
Longstreet,
Here.
McCaffrey,
Here.
Belkamp,
Here.
Bush,
Here.
Greenlee,
Here.
Hill,
Here.
Allison,
Here.
Jim, Zach.
Here.
Everybody's here. So it has been the custom for parks to have a nominating committee, and the committee was made up of Kate and Linda and Jane, and they submitted a slate of officers for 2024. For president, they recommended Kelly Rice. For vice president, they recommended Jane Longstreet, and for secretary, they recommended Linda McCaffrey. Jane and Linda, is that accurate? Correct?
So it came from the nominating committee, so it does,
Correct.
that is the motion and a second.
Well,
Since-
I'm just confirming that that's what,
Yes.
all right. Are there any nominations from the floor for any of those positions?
Besides the ones you just mentioned.
Correct. So that's the recommendation for nominations from the nominating committee. Again, are there any nominations from the floor? All right. So we'll close the nominations then. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. There are officers. So Kelly, it is your show.
All right. Thank you. Good job, Jason.
I even
You should run every
reread,
meeting.
reread the Robert's rules.
Yeah.
Make sure I did it right. So,
Can I make one correction to the agenda? It says election of 2023
Correct.
officers. Should say 2024
Oh.
Yes.
officers.
Correct.
And I
Good
never
catch.
see those
Good
kind of
catch.
things.
Good catch.
I never catch those kind of
I
things.
saw that too. Thank you.
Good correction. Yes. All right.
You guys did want the job, right?
Oh, no,
Doesn't matter
there are
now.
days.
This is all the work.
Well, thank you for,
That's not true.
for
Yes.
serving.
Oh, thank you, Lucas. Thank you. All right, so we will pick up from there with item 4B on the agenda, which is committee organizations and appointments. So it looks like park staff put together, Jason put together, I think, the packet this month. So it kind of outlines the committees that we have had in the past and probably will just continue to have moving forward. On page 4 of the PDF of the packet, it's outlined there. So the number, number of members in each committee isn't specified in the bylaws. It only, so that's a little bit up to interpretation or whatever. So if we didn't have enough people, it doesn't have to be a hard 4 people plus the ex officio member, but that's kind of what we've shot for in the past. So, and that's kind of the way it's played out. So I think, let's see, when is our next, I know you have the schedule in here. When is our next committee meeting? Is the first one the planning committee next month? Would that be the first one up on the agenda? I don't have that page. open.
February 6th, looks like. Yep.
February 6th. Okay, it will be the first. So that's coming up here pretty quickly.
Planning and community engagements next week.
Okay. Probably what I would ask folks to do, because we had some great committees last year, is if you're new and you have an interest in a committee, let me know. Or if you're on a committee and you really don't feel like you can serve on that committee anymore, let me know. Otherwise, I'll assume you have interest in continuing in on the committees that you were on. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, all right. So, but I'm going to need to hear back from you by, let's say, what is today, Wednesday? Like by the end of the weekend? So by Sunday? So we can, or do you want to get invites out before then, Jason? To committee
we can wait
members?
until like next week, early next
Like,
week.
like Monday, we could
Yeah.
send them out? Okay, so
Yeah,
we'll
that's
have
no
the
problem.
committees finalized by, let's say, Monday morning,
It'll be a
first thing.
And we kind of,
Yeah,
next week.
yeah. Oh, go ahead, Jason, sorry.
I would say, one, next year, my suggestion will be to have an organizational meeting, right? We always try to wait until after the board has theirs, but we'd probably just have a special organizational meeting to take care of a few of those things, so.
Okay,
So Kelly, may I interject here? I mentioned it to Jason before. The planning committee has not met for 2 months,
yeah,
so we need a meeting. I am out of town the first week in
okay,
February.
okay.
If we can have it yet next week, that would be ideal. We've got a few different things we want to run
Shoot for
past.
maybe next Tuesday?
If it's possible, that would be
Okay.
great. It could be, I think our schedules are fairly free afternoons, Monday through Thursday at that time. So I don't know, maybe once, I don't know what's going to go, but I think that would be very helpful to get us back on track.
Sure.
So if people
ahead.
want to stay, Kate nor Kyle were on the planning committee. So the
Right.
planning committee, which Lucas chaired, is as, everybody's still here.
As is.
Right,
So unless somebody wants to
correct,
be on it.
correct.
So, I mean, there, people would know what the ongoing work
Yeah. That would be okay with me, Kurt. I don't know,
I'm
Joe.
good. Yeah, I just
Lucas?
checked it.
Okay,
Are we thinking like 3, 4 o'clock?
That's what,
Same
Normal
time,
time,
normal
just
time,
like-
3 o'clock?
Yep, 3 o'clock's good.
can you do that, Paul? Or can you do it, Lucas?
that-
I should ask
Is
you.
that Tuesday?
That's
I'm looking at?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, unfortunately, does not work for me.
Okay, you have to stay off the ski slopes. I don't think that's going to be an issue after this weekend.
Would Wednesday or
So-
Thursday work better?
You're looking at January 27th?
Yeah, next week. Next week is the 30th.
30th.
29, 30, and
30.
31.
30, 31, or 32 would be the best.
I'm sorry.
Or 32. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, 30th or 31st.
That was really good.
Okay. Yeah, so
We put an extra on every month in it with EP.
Yeah.
yeah, Wednesday and Thursday work for me,
Oh, thank you.
but,
Okay.
so,
Who else
do
is on?
Thursday.
Paul and Joe?
Thursday, I could do Thursday.
Thursday? Can you do Thursday?
Can't do Wednesday.
3 o'clock?
Nope,
Okay.
I can do Wednesday.
I can do Wednesday.
I'll make Wednesday work.
All
I
right.
just move some meetings around,
I
but
do every day.
You're the boss, move meetings around.
Okay,
not on this one, but.
Is
I'll
it
tell them
just
to
through
move it.
3 guys?
Wednesday, the 31st.
And,
Well, right
and
now,
Kelly.
but we'll have to finalize that on Sunday.
Okay.
So, but.
So
let's just-
tentatively Wednesday
yes.
at 3
Let's
o'clock.
just change the meeting date at this time.
Okay, and then we can get
hopefully-
back on normal
Correct.
schedule for
Okay.
March.
Okay,
Yep.
Okay. Great, thank you.
And we do have the schedule later.
okay. The only other thing I think I wanted to mention on that item is I don't know that we're going to have a Friends representative as outlined on, because that's
Yep.
Carly now with,
Yep.
that's on with park staff. So we'll be figuring that out, but great. So I'll probably just send a follow-up email to everybody on the commission, just to make sure everybody understands what I need to hear back, and then we'll go from there. Any questions on that? I know clear as mud, right? Okay. I don't think we have any addition. Oh, we do have do we have an addition to the agenda, Jason, on the,
Well, we sent out the MOU, so.
Correct.
We would like to see the commission entertain that, so if possible.
right. So that would be we want to talk about the Elgro MOU under new business. So
business,
that
yeah.
will be item 12E, if we can just add that.
Do you need a motion on that?
No, that's okay. Thank you, though. Okay. I think that's it, correct? For additions? Okay. All right, moving on to the approval of the minutes of the December 20th regular meeting. Hopefully everybody got a chance to review those. And if we have a motion for those approval.
So moved?
Okay, thanks, Lucas.
Support?
Great, thanks, Jane. Any questions, comments on those minutes, edits? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, minutes are approved. Communications, it looks like we don't have any this month. So we'll keep going on to public comment. So I don't see anyone in the audience. I know we've started our new YouTube broadcast today, so. Yes, but anybody on that's on YouTube, if you would like to make comments in the future, we don't have, you won't be speaking today, but you're feel free to submit comments to the park staff if there's anything you want to comment on or make a statement on what you're hearing today. So Riley, is there a way to add something in the comments at all on the YouTube channel or no?
I would have to check.
That's okay. I'm just trying to say, maybe we could give folks guidance on how they could
If they
submit
would
a
want to
comment.
email our general email account, it is ocparks@miottawa.org. Did I get that right?
Perfect.
And
For-
then if
yeah.
if it just in the title.
Hey,
if they
Jason,
just
could you
use your
put
mic.
your, speak into the microphone so folks online could hear you? That
Thank
would-
you.
Yeah.
And if
that
they
would
would
be
then,
great.
just in the title, include, a statement about comments for Parks Commission, we'll make sure to pass that along.
Sure.
So-
Could you repeat that email address one more time
So
for
it
folks?
is ocparks@miottawa.org.
Perfect. Okay, great.
As long as that's right. I'm looking at staff too.
You don't email yourself very often,
I don't.
right?
I don't.
Okay, perfect. And we have no one in the audience, so we'll keep moving to the staff reports and start with the director's report. Jason.
So just continuing to make great headway on some of our projects. So in particular, I would say we are on the cusp of going live with our new reservation software. So we hope it is up and running and we're testing it. And I know Kyle, I think, was over today testing some of the credit card processing machines. And we've been working with the treasurer's office and IT department. So we're pretty excited about that. The goal is to have that live by the end of March or end of February at the latest. Our current software expires mid-March. So we've been working on the communications to share with that. So it really has been a whole team effort. So everybody's been involved almost from our entire staff. So kudos to everybody. I'm pretty excited about it. So, yeah. So we're also, just before this meeting, we were wrapping up. We had a meeting with the Historic Ottawa Beach Society folks. So the past couple months, we've been trying to have annual meetings with our various stakeholders and partners. And so some of the information we'll share as a report next month. So, yeah. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Jason or comments? All right, we'll keep rolling with the park operations report. Jason?
All right. Well, a lot of what we did in December was just getting everything ready for the winter season to begin, and then of course the snow hit us. One of the things of note is we have been open at the Pigeon Creek Lodge for 13 days. So we were closed yesterday and today, unfortunately, because of the weather. And we'll see if this holds, if we can get some cold temperature before everything melts away. But for right now, we brought in about $25,000 in revenue in those 13 days. So, and then if anybody has any questions about items in my report, I'd be happy to answer them.
So remind me if I'm remembering correctly, but there have been years when Pigeon Creek Lodge has only been open maybe 15 days the entire season. So we're already at 13.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in one straight run. We've been over 13 straight days. So, I mean, and then we close. So hopefully we'll get another run and if it's as good as this one, then we'll be at or close to budget.
I have two things.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of
Linda.
all, thank you for answering people on Facebook. I just appreciate your patience, your patient soulness when you're answering about fallen trees and why the trail is closed because there are fallen trees on the trail. You do that really well, so thank you. And kudos to Sarah for all the painting that she was doing. So really, really good.
Yeah, that's just a wonderful winter job. Not only do we bring in a lot of the signs throughout the winter and get them painted and put back up, but we bring in the trash barrels and get those painted. And we do still have a quantity of wooden picnic tables that haven't been replaced yet, and those get brought back in and cleaned up and repainted and everything in the winter too. So yeah, that's takes a while, but it's a good winter job.
Yeah, I had something kind of goes along with what Linda said. So I really liked the social media posts about just activities that are going on and staff are doing. I think that's really interesting. It's kind of neat. So Riley, you probably have something to do with that too, but however you're tag teaming it, I think it's really great. So I think
We try
really
to provide
interesting.
content for Riley to put up.
Yeah.
That's why if you notice, like one of the recent Pigeon Creek posts about the trail conditions was a video taken by Tom while he was grooming the trail.
Oh, was it from him?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he took it from the snowmobile while grooming the trail. So there's no laws about, using your phone and snowmobiling.
Right.
Yet.
Right.
So Jason, how is staffing at
At
for
Pigeon?
Pigeon?
We have enough. We have a lot of people working from the nature center that were looking for hours this time of year, and from other regions, people that work this summer on the lake shore. So we have enough. Definitely, we're at the lower threshold of enough.
Okay.
But we do have enough to staff when we need. We did have right at the beginning, the first couple days we were open, people weren't, although they were scheduled, it was scheduled pending conditions, and I think people had gambled that the conditions wouldn't be there. So the first couple days we had trouble. The people who were scheduled are like, oh, I got to work. But since then, it's been good.
Okay. Good.
Great. Anybody else? Yeah, Allison, go ahead.
I was there on Monday cross country skiing, and your staff has done a great job of having the trails all set and groomed, and had a great time.
Yeah,
So-
they put a lot of work into that, and we've been adjusting the times when we groom throughout the day and in the night, and so they've been trying to do it in the middle of the night when there's nobody on the trail.
Yeah.
And so it's it's still a work in progress, you know, to figure out the best times to get things done. But yeah, they definitely take a lot of pride in it.
Good job.
Great. Anybody else? All right, we'll move on to the planning and development report. Kurt?
All right, you can see the pictures I have. Those places look quite a bit different now. We were making pretty good progress on a number of construction things until winter actually hit. They haven't stopped, but it is going slower. So we'll see what happens here coming up. A couple updates and things that didn't make the report. You'll recall that last June we made a proposal to the Idema Foundation for this family event center at the Bend area, and they were very encouraging, but we think we need a little more information to make sure our proposal, we're going to present again here in June, but we want to get some more information on some big questions we have there about utilities and is the old structure good, the old house good, there's some regulatory issues. So we are looking at RFPs from a couple of firms to help us do a little more work on that. So we're best prepared to go into that next round of talking with them and with an accurate cost estimate if we know some of these questions. Let's see, it mentioned in the report that our, Neely's not here, but our project at Ottawa Sands to do all the wetland creation and restoration is still delayed. So it's past the original grant deadline, but we've been working with Audubon, who we are working with. We're a sub-grantee, but they're the one above us. They have been approved to extend the project, and so soon, I think by next month, we will have a grant extension for us to approve on that. And then another thing, Aaron reminded me as I came into here, we probably thought that we weren't going to put in grant applications this spring to the Natural Resources Trust Fund and the Land and Water Conservation Fund, but the more we looked at it, we think there are two projects that have a good chance of success. One would be the restroom building at the Upper Makatawa Natural Area. Now you recall we applied for a trust fund grant for that. We were just a little short. We think we want to apply for the Land and Water Conservation Fund, which is the same source as the Ottawa Sands restroom. So we think we might have more success there. It would delay the project a little bit, but not really that much because it's all tied in, as you recall, with our Middle Makatawa project, which we are coordinating with Holland Township now. So we think we're going to do that. And then we also think we have a chance for a trust fund grant for a section of the Idema Explorers Trail, the Eastmanville Bayou Connector, because the new, what do you call those again? The urbanized area zones have changed, and now the end of that trail would be in an urbanized area, which gets you many more points. In fact, we're finding that that is one of the critical things. If you can show you're in an urbanized zone, that helps in the scoring a lot. So we think it's worthwhile going for that one. And we weren't planning to build that section for a couple of years anyway, so it might work out just perfect to do it. So that means a couple of things. We'll talk about it in the planning committee meeting, but it also will mean there are public hearings for both of those. So the Eastmanville Bayou section had a couple of folks who weren't happy with us about that. We're going to have to notify them that we're moving ahead with this. So we'll see. I don't think it'll be a problem, but just so you know, there will be public notice on that.
So Kurt, quickly, what was the issues with those property owners?
Just very close,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Mr. Spreensma,
Oh, okay.
right, is
All
right next to it. There's also
Yeah.
a person right close there who has these, the
Cattle?
Texas longhorn.
Horns, yeah.
So he's
Okay.
concerned. I think we've addressed the issues, but they still may
Okay.
want some more talk. So otherwise, I'll leave my report as written unless there's questions.
Great. Any questions for Kurt? Yeah, Lucas?
Yeah. Kurt, at the end of your report, you had the comment about the farm education
Yeah.
committee. I don't remember that committee, what they're doing, who they are, or.
Well,
Could you?
so, we had a relationship with a formal group. Roger knows this because he's been meeting with.
Yeah, myself and Commissioner Minima as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I think you haven't been at the meetings I've been at, but yeah, so there's a group looking at farm education in Ottawa County and, previously the Eastonville Farm was maybe going to be a real focus area, maybe not so much now, but there still could be some options for doing some collaborative things with that. So I've been sitting in on a couple of, Jason sat on a couple meetings, so we're just making sure we're knowing what each other is doing.
Perfect.
Yep.
Is the barn holding up okay out there?
I haven't heard any problems with it, right? I think so.
Structurally, it's good. yeah.
Structurally good. I don't
Yeah.
think it's been leaking.
No.
So
No,
we're in a good holding pattern until something happens with that.
Thank you.
Right? Any other questions, comments for Kurt? All right, we'll just keep rolling then. On to the community engagement report. Riley, are you taking that one? Nope.
I would just like to draw attention to some of the more exciting figures that we reported on. So from 2022 to 2023, we over doubled the visitor count at the Nature Education Center. So that's very exciting, and we're actually past the visitor count that we were getting pre-COVID levels. So we're getting more people out to the Nature Center, which is exciting. And we also, in December, the Friends of Ottawa County Parks hosted their Luminary event, and that was by far the largest event we've ever hosted at that park. And so we've been
Probably any park. That was a lot of people.
and so we've been debriefing with the Friends group on just potential ways that we can improve our community engagement with that specific event in the future. So that's all very positive and exciting, and I'm happy to answer any other questions about the report.
Questions for Riley? Comments? All right, thanks, Riley. We'll keep going on to the Natural Resources Management Report. And since Neely is not here, was that just going to stand, or does anyone have anything?
If
to
anybody has
highlight
any
on that?
questions, Jason
Okay.
or I, she had a conflict, so we're happy to try to answer any of those questions.
Any questions, anybody? All right, some good highlights in there. We like the pictures too. That's kind of
Love the
interesting.
pictures.
Linda made you famous.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't need that. That is a terrible picture. I almost look a little
You look
guilty.
surprised.
I do. I look surprised and guilty. And that applies usually. I am guilty of something, I'm sure.
All right, we'll keep going on to the development report then. Glenn?
Let's see. So we had an increase again this year in the number of gifts that we received. Continuing our trend, you can see we jumped from 753 at the end of 2022 to over 1,000 this time. A lot of those gifts were due to the Grand Explorers Trail Race. Sorry, forgot the T. Because it was a new race, a new event, and part of their registration fee went to the foundation. So that's good news. As a result of that, we did indeed exceed our goal. But also as a result of that, you'll see that our average gift dropped because you've got more gifts, more smaller gifts, and so that lowers your average. We've started getting ready for the breakfast lunch, which is one of our major, which is the major fundraising event coming up in the spring. And I'm happy to say that one of our donors has already doubled their commitment from last year, so that's good news. We hosted our second fireside chat with 12 attendees, which doesn't sound like a lot of people, but I'm meeting people that we wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to meet. So it's a successful series, and I think we'll certainly continue this year through April, first Thursday of every month, and then we'll have to revisit what we'll do for next year. Sent
I sent
holiday
them.
cards to everybody, thanking them for their gift, people that we visited with. Followed up on preliminary discussions regarding potential sponsorships for a structure at Rotary at Ottawa Sands. And we're getting ready to, our planning documents ready to raise money for Rosie Mounds. So.
Great.
And next month, we'll have, so the foundations finalize their annual report for 2023. So either our foundation manager or maybe the president might be here, I think, next month to do that. So.
See if you're right.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Comments, questions?
I have one.
Oh, yep.
Can you expand just a little bit, or it doesn't have to be lengthy, but just a little bit on the potential sponsorship opportunities part for the Rotary Clubs? I'm not real familiar.
What the levels are, or the?
I guess I don't, maybe everyone else knows about it, but I guess I don't really know
Well,
what that is.
So what we have our breakfast luncheon event in the spring, and we do go out and seek sponsorship in order to cover our costs. And then that allows all the donations to really be just pure revenue for us. And so this year, Prine and Newhoff has doubled their sponsorship from prior years. So we're very pleased about that. And we're going to ask some of our other sponsors to raise the money as well.
Were you asking about the Rotary? though,
Rotary.
At Ottawa
Yeah,
Sands?
I'm
Sorry.
That's okay. That's what I'm
can-
like, I didn't.
You want to do it or you want me to do it?
Go ahead.
Because this was a good one.
Yeah.
They approached
They're all
us,
good ones.
the Spring Lake and Grand Haven.
Bad one?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he didn't have to do any work. They came to us. That's what's good about it.
No such
Isn't
thing
that
as-
right?
Yeah.
No such thing as free money, though.
Well, no, but they approached us wondering if there was a project that would be appropriate for them to sponsor, particularly in Ottawa Sands, because it's Grand Haven Spring Lake. They thought they maybe had $20,000 or $30,000 that they might like to raise. They asked us for a couple of options, so we did. One is a small shelter that's kind of out in some of these new wetland areas that we're doing. It's kind of just a nice, really nice resting spot, bird watching spot, picnic spot, quiet. And then the other one is, and you can see it on the master plan, on the northwest side of the lake, we had a little bigger area, a seating kind of overlook spot. So we presented both of those to them. They're considering them. It's not absolutely sure, but I think there's a very good chance they will want to sponsor one of those.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Any other questions?
And they get their name in the brochure, Allison. They get their name in the
Yeah.
brochure so people see that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it was kind of neat to hear some of the extras there. That makes it.
Good. All right. We'll keep going. We have the strategic plan progress report. Jason, were you going to take that?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we can we've actually been kind of hard at work on this. So hopefully everybody, it's taken a little while, but hopefully everybody on the commission received at least a couple emails. I know Allison probably got like 3 or 4 or maybe 5. But
Yep.
some of you represent multiple groups who might have gotten an invitation. So so we have the date of February 6th at 4 p.m. And then we are really close on finalizing the scientific survey and then working on that agreement. And then, or we have finalized it. It'll just now be processing the agreement through to have it ratified. And then the same with the benefits analysis. So we selected a different vendor for the benefit or for the scientific survey, but Crow Consulting will be the company that we work with for our benefits analysis. So yes, and then we've been working on the communications as we roll out kind of once we have the kickoff meeting, we'll do a press release. There's a public input survey that we will work on marketing and pushing that out. So we'll share that with the planning committee as one of the things that we want to review those questions. So we just received those. So lots of stuff going on.
Good.
Happy to ask any questions.
Is the February 6th meeting the only one that's been hard scheduled so far?
Yes.
Okay, just
We,
wanted to.
well,
yeah,
for,
kick off,
for any of the committees or representatives, we'll have, since the consultants will be in town, we're going to have them meet with staff, like all of our full-time
Oh,
staff
yeah,
as their,
okay.
one of their work groups and get those.
Mhm.
And then kind of our leadership team of staff will, then after that, kind of debrief with them. And then we're working on getting the other dates kind of set up. So that way, once we do, you know, the kickoff meeting, we have kind of the big dates established for the major milestones. So like whenever the consultant's ready to present the draft plan to the Parks Commission, and we'll have it as a, like, you know, I would recommend we do a work session that it's just that, and,
Yeah.
you know, and invite the public there to, you know, hear and make any comments too. So we're working on trying to get some of those dates laid out.
Okay. Any other questions? Comments for Jason on the strategic plan? All right. Hopefully everybody can meet at Nature Education Center, that kickoff meeting, correct? So, all right. Financial status summary. Is there anything to say on that? And that's going to be reviewed at the finance.
Well,
when
and that's
finance
what
starts
I-
meeting again, right?
And I'll have to, I was kind of tied up in meetings right before this. I did ask Brandy to provide an explanation of what are in those various, so she was,
I would make a recommendation that next year, if for nothing else, the previous finance committee take a quick look at anything before we meet, if we don't have an organizational meeting, just so that you can have somebody say that you've had park commissioners look at these numbers before. They're fine, they're perfect, there's nothing weird, but since the finance committee doesn't meet until March, and hasn't met since November, it's kind of a long time to not have commissioners.
This is something, though, we're reviewing just quarterly, right?
well,
Are we doing it every month?
we'll include it every month in the packet.
month.
I
It's
think
just an
last,
update.
in December, we talked about having finance and policy look at this and how it was contained and presented in the packet, though, I think, is what we
So,
talked about
yes.
last.
Something
Yep, we
should
did.
Talk about.
Yes.
Yes, because part of it, yes, and we're happy to do that and try to, we replaced some of just the revenue numbers out of the operations report.
Right.
This is a report that comes straight out of the county's
Right.
bookkeeping system, and it's the format that the Parks Commission actually approves and gets rolled up into the counties. So it's just,
Right.
And Brandy's working on some of the detail on what's included in those
Yeah.
categories. So that'll be helpful.
and she might have sent it to me. So if I got that, we'll send it out. And then whenever we meet, we can talk about if there's other things we want to analyze or do a deeper dive, or I think the struggle with what we reported in the operations report, it's good on some aspects, but it didn't include any of the expenses.
Yep.
So it really
Yeah.
could provide a skewed perspective.
We don't have to have this discussion, but I do have some things that I think finance and policy could look at for just better, just general understanding by the whole commission for this
Yep.
report. But I totally get that these numbers are more accurate, so I
Accurate's
appreciate
good.
that, right? So is there a reason finance and policy doesn't need to meet until March?
No, we'll probably have, we actually need something in February too, so we have
Yeah.
other
But yeah,
stuff to work
no.
on. So
Yeah.
I haven't looked at what
Okay.
we tried to use the same format as
Yeah,
we did
but maybe
last
since
year.
we meet it Miss January, we could pick it up or
Yeah.
have one in February instead.
Yep.
I would, yeah.
Jim, you think that's a good idea too? Yeah, okay. Okay,
Yeah, because March 12th is when we meet next.
right. Okay, sorry here. We'll move on to committee reports, and that's Jane, who will give a Ottawa County Parks Foundation update verbally.
Yeah, just a couple things. So I'm going to give you some dates, which maybe you already are aware of, but the Piece Together Parks event is happening March 9 in Grand Haven. That's the jigsaw puzzle, cutthroat jigsaw puzzle competition. And they're limiting it to 30 teams, and I don't know if there's still spots available, but if you want to get in on it, check out the Parks Foundation probably Facebook page, or let me know and I can send you a link to sign up. I know we've got several commissioners and teams participating, so it's a fun event. Art for the Parks is the pop-up artist event that we have collaborated with for several years with the Lakeshore Visual Artists Cooperative. I never quite get it right, but a group of local artists who have an art show, and then they donate, I believe, 10% of the proceeds to the foundation and the entry fee at the door. So that's always a nice event.
When is
That's
that?
April 27, I think, at the Nature Education Center, right? Yeah. The big one, Glenn mentioned already, they're working on sponsors for breakfast, lunch at the park. That's going to be June 20 at Grand Ravines again, I think. Grand Ravines, okay. So I think most of us have attended or been invited at least. If you haven't, you will be. So I hope you can go. If you're interested in sponsoring a table, if you have friends and neighbors who you'd like to introduce to the parks and the foundation, Angela's always looking for table sponsors. So I can also send info on that if you're interested. I know several of us have done that in the past, and it's nice. You get a choice of breakfast, which is early, or lunch, which is midday, or both. A lot of people do both. So that's June 20th. And then Glenn also mentioned the race, the trail race, the Grand Explorers Trail Race, which is between Grand Ravines and Grand River Park. And this will be our second year, the foundation's second year that they're sponsoring that. That is June 22. So you can load up at the breakfast lunch on the 20th. You can run it off on the 22nd. And it was a very successful event, and it's going to be fun. And it's also consistent with the foundation's mission, which is wellness and linking nature to communities. So those are some dates to keep in mind. And also just, I think it was in Jason's report as well, but the foundation unanimously approved the Rosie Mound fundraising initiative. So they're on board with that. Great.
Good, thanks, Jane. Any questions for Jane?
Jane, did you backstep on what was the Piece Together event in Grand Haven?
That's March 9.
All right.
So that's going to be at, I
Oh,
believe, the Eagles. Is it still at
Yeah.
the Eagles?
Eagles.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. And so you can get a group of up to 6 people together and put a jigsaw puzzle together, a nature-themed jigsaw puzzle. Yeah.
There's some serious competitors at that event. Like, people came from all over the state that are like professional jigsaw
If
puzzle
you're just a
competitors.
casual
Yeah, they
puzzle
train. Yeah.
puzzler, like, just know there are people who like do this very
And
seriously.
That's why I didn't participate last
Sorry,
year.
I
I'm
didn't go.
terrible.
I'll go watch.
You will be eaten alive, but they do serve beer.
Adult
So-
beverages,
What is that? I don't
It
know
is
what
at the
your-
Eagles, so.
And get
Yeah.
2 free
Yeah.
puzzles out of it.
That's
Yeah.
true, right, right.
I don't know what your individual drinking rules are, but the bar is open at, I think, noon. So, if you need a little lubrication, it's there. But it is a fun event, March 9th.
Good. Any other questions? Comments? All right, we will keep rolling on to old business and the community engagement policies. I think go ahead.
I was going to just say, so mostly for new folks. all of these things that you're about to see, the old business and the new business, have been looked at by committees, that last year's committees. So
Usually.
usually, there's one that isn't, but it came in late. But almost always, so as the transition of the year happens, things were being done, and we don't just stop. Park business doesn't just stop. So these have not been done in absence of oversight from in the case of Allison, for us, the Board of Commissioners has been aware, and Roger will now be aware of that. And then the rest of us who have been here have been aware. So these are not, it may say old business, it may say new business, it may be new business to the entirety of the commission, but it is not new business to the commission.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay, so we're not just doing this on the fly.
right. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I did have some notes to maybe talk about before, but when you're looking at the packet, it should say, there's a couple things that might need to be corrected. At the very bottom of the motion sheet, it will say the committee that reviewed this already. So I would say in the future, just make sure you're very comfortable with, reading through the pack and stuff. But if you have questions, go to the chair of that committee once they're appointed. If you want follow-up before we get to the commission meeting, of course, anyone can ask questions here too, but just for sakes of efficiency or just going into more in-depth conversation with the committee chair, don't hesitate to reach out to whoever is, whatever committee is listed at the bottom of the motion sheet.
Because
So-
we all don't sit on all, so you might ask Kelly, but she might not have been
Right.
involved in that
Right.
discussion. So.
Yeah, I would always defer to the committee chair to lead those conversations, so. And then starting off with this first motion, it does say the Public Relations Committee looked at this, but that's actually an old name. It's actually the Community Engagement Committee. So we used to be known as the Public Relations Committee, but so yes, this one was reviewed at the December meeting, if that's just like kind of the first example here, so. All right, and it's just some internal community engagement policies. I don't know, Jess isn't here, but is that something that you wanted to
So,
maybe
and we can,
raise?
and Riley can chime in. So these are just trying to formalize processes and procedures that we've been working through and have been using to some extent. So there's a cancellation and refund policy for participants. If the participants cancel, if there's a severe weather with public programs, then cancellation for low attendance. And it really just provides then staff as well as, gives us the structure to kind of do that consistently and equitably. So, and as Linda said, we reviewed this with the Community Engagement Committee, so.
So Jane's the chair of that, or Kate was the chair of that. Who was the chair?
I was the chair.
We looked at that probably.
I'd like to get a motion on the floor to approve this,
Good point.
and then I can answer questions.
I'll make that motion as written.
Support.
Great. Yep, sorry.
No,
Jane.
that's okay.
Good.
That's great. Yeah, we had a very in-depth, good discussion, and there were some questions that Jess and Riley could answer for us about, kind of where the thinking came from behind these. But it really is just codifying, I think, what had been practice, and so it just provides clarity for people so they know what to expect.
Yep. I think the only thing I wanted to add is just kudos. I was hoping Jess would be here, but I know we offered up a lot of edits and suggestions at the meeting, and I read through and I went, wow, these are stellar. So, I mean, I think they were edited really well, incorporated a lot of people, firing off with different comments and opinions on that, just some stuff for clarity, but it really cleaned up nicely in my opinion. So, questions? Yeah, Roger.
I just had a comment that something like this will likely be referenced by entities outside of the Ottawa County Parks. I'm thinking like the Tri-Cities Kids Little League Baseball. I think a lot of volunteer organizations that put events on are always looking for information like this as a resource to say, okay, that's how they do business for their operation. So yeah, I think it's very good.
Yeah, it's great because these are getting created from scratch, and I know this is a crazy amount of work to put together some SOPs
Well,
like
and
this.
they
so-
are, they are, you know, you can get to them on the website, so those organizations can kind of look at them and
Yeah.
say, oh, okay, this is kind of what they're doing. So yeah, they're accessible and searchable. I think.
Well, these are internal SOPs,
These are-
correct?
These are internal,
For
so these will be
staff.
internal policies.
But the-
Some of them, so depending on some of the cancellation, we might include that as
And
links
some of
on
the
our
language
program.
gets
And
cut
part
and
of,
pasted,
part of
yeah.
going through this process has been, staff training, but it also will go into programming our new software and how we're kind of building our programs. So it just helps us formalize some of that.
It's not uncommon that other organizations reach out to us for this kind of stuff, and we just
Right.
send it on over to them. We're happy to help.
Well, and I think it's, customers will know what to expect, but staff also will know how to proceed and what to expect.
And
so it's-
volunteers.
Yeah, volunteers. It's really helpful for everybody involved, so.
Great. Anything else? Comments, questions? All right, we'll go ahead and put it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
All those opposed say nay. All right, motion passes. New business, the meeting dates. This is where the calendar was. I knew it was in here. Is there anything that we need to, this is kind of just following the format and meeting rhythms of last year. I even just went through and cross-checked to see if there were like major holidays on here and I didn't see any, so.
And we might, and like, as we look through I'm sorry, I apologize, I interrupted.
Oh,
As-
no,
as
that's
we-
okay.
As we go through the budgeting process, like I'm working with our budget analyst, and then we'll sit down with, I've already talked with Karen with fiscal services, and we want to make sure ours is feeding into the Board of Commissioners budgeting process and making sure we have enough meetings. So I think, and, I know we've got some things we want to take care of in February, so I was going to suggest adding
I'm happy to add
a
one.
meeting so we can
As long as
connect.
it's not on my birthday because I'm not here.
Yep, yeah.
Sorry, and I skipped over the motion, so.
No,
Before, we probably should have
And-
someone make a motion to discuss this
So
first.
moved.
Okay, thanks, Linda.
Support.
Okay.
And now we're good.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Jason.
Well, and I
Or
think,
Linda.
right, this was probably, so the motion would be for the monthly Parks Commissioners
Mhm.
meetings to approve those. I don't know if it includes the committee meetings. We included that as
We could do
information.
the others, but we just have to know that they might get adjusted.
Right.
Correct,
As proposed.
right.
Well, and I think after the committees have a little bit more flexibility, I feel like
Yeah.
with, as the chairs are appointed and members are appointed, they kind of know what's going to work and what won't.
Were there any significant comments or concerns with the proposed
No,
schedule?
I'm glad they're staying the same because now they're ingrained, so.
Right? There you go.
Board of Commissioners stayed the same, we're staying the same.
Yep. All right, we'll go ahead and put it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. The seasonal wage adjustment. Jason Berger, is that you or?
Well, and I will,
Are you
can I,
Jason?
it's Jason, but I will say, as we talked about some of the agenda items, there are a few times where things might be, I don't know if emergency is the best option. This is one that we've been working on for a while. Typically, if we wouldn't have a committee, I would try to run it through the executive committee to make sure everything was good, since we didn't have any committee meetings earlier this month. We wanted to submit this one because it's
So
important.
finance and policy didn't meet, so.
Yeah, so that date on there was,
It did not.
when
Was
I,
incorrect.
yeah, when I submitted this, it was quite a bit before that date, and I was assuming finance was going to meet on that date, and I was wrong.
Right.
So-
So this is new information.
This
but
is
do we
new
have,
information.
A motion to discuss?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Support.
All
Bush.
right, thank you. Allison and Joe. All right. go ahead. Did you want to just give us a rundown since this is a little bit new for just about everybody?
Jason.
I know we've
It's all
talked
yours.
about this for sure at other committees as
Well,
a
we get
general
through the
issue in the
budgeting
past,
process,
but-
so,
Right.
Yeah, this conversation started a long time ago, actually. It started probably when we were trying to hire last year and having such trouble that we were going to have to make an adjustment this year. One of the things that became evident is when we did our last salary survey of seasonal or part-time employees, that we were asking people, what you're paying your employees right now, not what you're going to pay them this summer. And so when the summer came along, they all raised their rates and we raised ours to match their old rates. And so we were behind again. So we met with HR. We went through and did another salary survey of employers that we compete for seasonal and part-time employees, and came up with a pay rate that they felt would be competitive, which was a starting rate of $15.50 per hour for our unskilled employees and $18.50 per hour for our skilled employees. This being our part-time seasonal employees. We did simplify that into just 2 rates where we had 5 or 6 rates before. And then the other thing we did is we eliminated the steps. So instead of there being a rate for a first year, a second year, a third year, and a fourth year, it's just the one rate, and they'll get a pay increase each year based on what the Board of Commissioners approves for full-time employees. So if they approve a 3 or a 4% raise, then that would be what we'd raise the seasonal rates by that same year. An additional thing that we have in here is we have 2 positions that are our most common seasonal positions, ground attendant and park attendant. In the past, the difference between those was that the park attendants were the ones that spent a lot of time sitting in the booths, and the grounds attendant spent more time sitting on a mower or running a weed whip or emptying trash barrels, doing more physical labor. With the new fee machines, we have a lot less employees sitting in booths. So the tasks of those 2 positions have pretty much melded into one, and there's not as much distinction anymore. So we're eliminating that distinction, just going with one position of park caretaker. The notable thing about this is that at first glance, it looks a little scary. It looks like we're $95,000 short on our budget. But I will say that that's only 8.5% below budget. And in the past 10 years, we've never spent over like 85% of our budget. Each year in the past 10 years, we've had at least $100,000 left in the seasonal budget at the end of the year. So there exists a chance that this pay increase may solve all our problems, and then we're going to end up short at the end of the year. But because we're implementing it halfway through the year, and because we will have staff that'll leave early, we will have staff that'll take unplanned family vacations, things like that. It's unlikely that we'll have to do a budget adjustment even with these pay increases. That was a lot. Is there questions?
So when's the last time, Jason, that there was an increase again? Remind me.
It was 22, I
Yeah.
believe, going into,
Okay.
we did the same thing. We sat down,
Yep, I remember.
coming out of COVID, and we
Yeah.
sat down with HR and really looked at not just wages, but how else can we attract seasonal employees? And we've kind of gone through the same process each year. We realized last year that, as Jason said, the wages need to be adjusted again. I think we've been talking through other ways to attract and hopefully retain certain seasonal positions that might help us in the future. It would require potentially a new classification of employees. So, which we'll work through that with HR, talk through that with the commission, and then that would ultimately be approved by the Board of Commissioners. So we haven't quite gotten to the point where we could bring it before you all. This was important so when we do post and really start recruiting, we can get that one going. So
What Jason's talking about there one of the things that wouldn't include was an additional pay increase.
Right.
He's talking about different ways to, through other benefits and things, to attract employees. So the pay increase would be the pay increase.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reason this is time sensitive is We usually start hiring in February. My goal was that as soon as this gets approved by the Board of Commissioners, pending you guys approve it today, then it gets approved by the Board of Commissioners, that we'd be posting it that same week. And then start our interviewing and hiring yet in February still.
So how many people from part-time do you hire full-time? Do you have a number of like people we tracked?
I
They
don't
work
track it,
part-time.
but it's fairly common that a lot of our full-time employees once worked for us part-time, but it wouldn't seem as common considering how few full-time employees we have. If you do it one way, it looks common. A lot of our full-time employees used to be seasonals, but if you look at our seasonals, almost none of them become full-time because, we have 100 seasonals and.
Correct. Okay. I was just curious.
So does this apply to any of the natural resources people, part-time seasonal staff?
Yes.
So it's not just parks,
It applies to the natural resource management staff and to the community engagement staff. And they would be, each of those positions would fall into either the skilled or unskilled level also. For instance, the stew crew workers are considered skilled at within the community engagement department. The outdoor educators are considered unskilled, but the program lead, and those more supervisory positions and higher level positions are considered skilled. So they'd be at the 1550 or 1850 range.
Perfect.
And of this, there's, this would be a pay increase for every one of our seasonal employees except one, whose pay would be frozen until they could get a pay raise when everything else went up. And that pay raise for those current employees would go into effect April 1st, the date that we propose that this goes into effect.
Other questions? Comments? All right, we'll go ahead and put it to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. And we will move on to the reservation facility conditions of use document. What do we got? Who's that? Jason, is that you? That's
Well,
you too?
so I'll introduce, this really is, we went through this. This is one of those that the majority of what's in here is in the facilities policy that we worked on and updated last year, with the exception, I think there were like a couple minor things that we might hold on to somebody's deposit if they did some stuff. So with our new software system, we had multiple kind of agreements for the various types of facilities that we offered to the public. We consolidated those all into one agreement. We took the historic liability agreement that had come from Corporation Counsel, and we reviewed that, and we worked with Corporation Counsel on that and combined everything. So.
Okay.
So
So I
moving
guess-
forward, this document, sorry.
No, that's okay. I just, that's kind of a good overview. And I know finance and policy has talked about a lot of the contents of this. So I was just wondering if anyone wanted to make a motion.
So moved.
Okay, thanks, Linda.
Second.
Thanks, Lucas. But yeah, go ahead, and then people can ask more questions as we go. But Jason, if
So
there's
in our
others
new
we-
software program, when somebody makes a reservation, they will have this document show up on their screen and they will click, I agree, or I don't agree. And if they don't agree, they don't rent. So that's where this will be used. That's where you'll see it when you're in the reservation process. And it saves a lot of time over sending signed documents back and forth like we're doing currently.
And so the two hypotheticals would be if somebody came and put up a lot of decorations and left those and our staff had an exorbitant amount of time cleaning that up, we might hold part of the deposit. The other was the same with seating. If they moved a lot of the seating, say from inside to outside, and left that staff. So those weren't clearly spelled out in the policy, so we wanted to run it by you all. It's a bit of a formality, but.
So it's kind of a separate standalone form that they just click I agree to when they make a reservation kind of thing? And then how do we do it now, or did we do it? Was it a paper?
We
Form
still
or an
have it.
electronic
We send
thing?
it, so everybody who, at this point in time, it's evolved, but at this point in time, we send an email to every person manually, so one of our
Okay.
administrative staff. So.
And then it has all the rules and whatever
And
attached
depending on
to
which
it.
facility, they might get this
Yeah.
version, so we can simplify it to one agreement.
Yeah,
Want to make sure you all see it and approve it, and then,
And then
Yeah.
your system sends it out, I mean, they send it out, we look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So administrative staff doesn't have to touch it.
yeah,
They
that's
could print it
nice,
if they wanted to.
right. Okay,
I have a question, Kelly.
yeah, go ahead, Alice.
On the cancellation part, I just wondered, is it much different than previous?
I think it's verbatim of the.
It's exactly the
policy.
same.
That hasn't
That's
changed
what
at
we
all.
looked at on the financial.
It's verbatim from the policy that we had
Okay,
worked on.
it's been a while.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think the policy is included as a reference also, so.
Okay.
um,
My reason for the ask is just, I wasn't sure where our data is showing us with reservations and how we're trending and making sure there was any feedback from the public on facility reservations. So that was I think that's my only question on that one.
So we use Q surveys.
Yeah.
So like today, we just set up the automatic survey, so the day after someone signs up and takes a class or a reservation, they'll get an automated email the next day. And it will link them to our Qualtrics survey.
Okay.
For those, so we're starting that back up with the new software.
All right, great.
I will say, as far as trends go, just anecdotally, I've been here 10 years. For the first 5 or 6 years, our rentals increased considerably every year. We were adding new rental facilities. We were finding new ways to market. The social media was becoming more and more popular for that. And then, COVID, of course, it dipped off to next to nothing, then went really high right after COVID. And now it's leveling out, but it's leveling out slightly lower than before COVID. So that's where we're at right now.
Thanks. Any other questions, comments? All right, we'll go ahead and put it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. Then we have the contract for the DNR support of the Bass River Trail segment. Is that you, Kurt? or-
That would be me.
Okay.
So let me just give a little bit of background. We got a couple people are new. So our Grand River Greenway Trail, the Item Explorers Trail, is going along the south side of the Grand River. And one of the best places it can go through is the Bass River State Recreation Area, because it's a huge area of natural land. It's going to be one of the nicest segments of trail along the river. So we've been working with the DNR for a long time to make sure they would allow for that and hopefully participate in it with us. And yes, as we worked through our negotiations, one of the big issues they had was the location where we wanted the trail. They didn't we were proposing it right along the edge of the river for the whole stretch through there. They were not happy with that for a number of different reasons, mainly because one of the areas, the big eastern half of the site, is operated by the Wildlife Management Division of DNR, not the Recreation Division. So they had concerns about hunting and other uses there, other recreational uses. So we agreed on an alternate route that goes away from the river there. But as part of that, the DNR actually pretty much, we don't have it totally in writing, but have committed to $2.5 million of funding for the trail. So to this point, they have been meeting their obligation. If you recall, we've had 2 other smaller agreements, one for $50,000 and one for $75,000, which we've been using to do the engineering. And now they have come up with $715,000, which is enough for their part of the first phase. So in this beautiful little 2-page document, we get $715,000. So it's awesome. We're working on phase 1 right now. So obviously we would love to get this approved and online.
So we had, I forget, so my years blend together now, but we have kind of an ongoing plan for the whole greenway and when we expect the sections to be built. And we provided, a timeline when we would, with the budget that we provided to DNR, and that's kind of where they've been working off of. So we looked at it, I think, over a 4-year period.
Yeah, there's 4 phases. We think there will be 4 phases through the Bass River.
Yeah.
This is the first one, which is way on the western end, but Aaron knows these numbers right off the top of his head. I think it's about 2 or 3 miles, between 2 and 3 miles, the first phase is.
So that's what, when we included kind of those budget numbers, that's where some of that comes from.
Good. Do we have someone who would like to make a suggested motion so we could ask questions or discuss or vote?
I'm tired of making motions, but I will.
Okay.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, thank you, ladies. All right, do we have any questions? Does this make sense to everybody? I know there's some new folks on the commission, so it's probably going to be a little overwhelming for the number of months
Well, I
as
know
we
there's
talk
been-
about trails.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead,
Kind of a
Joe.
question.
Sure.
I know there's been a lot of discussion over the years on this one and a lot of, dialogue with the DNR. Is there any stipulations once we get the money? Is there anything that we have to do for the next phase?
So they had,
That makes sense.
we had worked with them, and I think it was last year.
Yep.
We worked through the commission and the board to approve a management agreement
Correct.
that then allows us, so I forget the length of that, but allows us to build it and then maintain it. So that was kind of the first step.
Okay.
And once we had that in place, we started, I think, receiving the funding.
So I guess you're right on where I was going. If we build it, we get to maintain it.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
that is the intent.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we don't do
Yep.
something and then all of a sudden don't have any control
Correct.
or ability.
No.
You know what I'm saying? For
Mhm.
phase 2, 3, 4,
Yep.
That is
potentially.
important.
So I want to make sure we got
Yep.
that ability. Okay.
And we did receive, so it was probably early 2020. We, through the county administration and the board of commissioners, we sent a letter to the chief of DNR, and he responded, and there was a commitment to work on it. It didn't include necessarily a dollar amount, but there is a commitment on their part to work through it. So, and then the
Okay.
staff, we even hosted a tour through Bass River with Kurt and then Aaron, and then a lot of DNR folks showed up. So it's been pretty exciting in the past couple years, their kind of support. So.
No, it's a great project. Just want to make
Yep.
sure it's on the right tracks.
Yep.
I had a question. Does this development in any way change the activities that are part of the current, I guess, things that happen there, like horseback riding and hunting? We're not like preventing folks who currently use it.
No,
Okay.
no. In fact, the equestrian use was a big concern. We had a number of folks who use it for that contact us, and we've tried to address their issues. And actually, I think we've done a really good job of maintaining that use. In fact, there may be ways that it can actually expand it a little bit because if you've been out there, some of this is way overgrown, so just maintaining the trails is difficult. So there may be some areas where our clearing for our trail would actually enhance the equestrian uses. And then the hunting issue, like I mentioned, the eastern half is managed by the Wildlife Division. And yeah, duck hunting is maybe one of the bigger things we hear about that. So the trail is out of all the wetland areas. It's on the upland area, further away from the river, except for the very east end, because we actually abut the end of Bass River with our Eastmanville open space, Eastmanville Bio open space, and we are going through that. So we're staying out of almost all of the area that would be of concern to the hunters there.
So with hunting, is there any like design considerations, like, I don't know, like berms or anything?
That's talked about, but we actually don't think it's going to be an issue. The timeframes where these are going to be heavily used. Signing, of course, people should know, and we've had this other places. They're going through areas that could have hunting on them. That's typical in some of our other parks, so we don't see it as a huge issue.
Yeah, I think you guys have done a really good job with that. When I meant like, oh, yeah, that's right, archery season started or something, like
Yep.
that, just as a reminder to folks entering the area.
Most
so.
stuff comes up in the air. So.
Duck
You might have
hunters.
something fall on you, but.
Questions, other questions, comments? All right, we'll go ahead and put it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. And then we have our add-on, 11E will be the Elgro MOU, which is a little bit of just a formality, but does everyone have the handout? that
And I
says-
apologize, I didn't get the memo, include the memo before we brought out. We tried to proactively answer some of the questions in the background in the email I sent out on, Monday, Friday or Monday.
Yeah, and the planning committee, I think we've talked about the water trails and that quite a bit, and how there's kind of a state strategy and how Parks is collaborating on the Elgro water trail designation. So, do we have a motion to
make the-
accept, or, yeah, go ahead.
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
Second.
all right. So, sorry, we actually don't have a verbatim motion for this yet, so I don't know, Allison, if you want to mimic the one of to approve the,
I'd make the motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Lower Grand River Organization of Watersheds and Ottawa County. Would that be Ottawa County Parks and Recreation?
perfect, sounds good. All right, sorry, and who seconded that?
I did.
Oh, okay, great, thanks, Lucas.
I'll second it again.
I was going to say, if you're good with that motion.
Second the clarifying motion. Okay, great, yes, go
I
ahead, Jason.
would suggest an amendment
Mm-hmm.
with the condition it's approved by Corporation Council.
Oh, correct, that's
Yeah.
right, we did talk about that.
So maybe at the
Let me read
end of
that,
it,
guys.
the motion of the memorandum of understanding between the Lower Grand River Organization of Watersheds and Ottawa County Parks and Recreation, contingent upon approval by legal corporation.
Corporation Council,
Yep.
okay.
You want to third that, second the third?
Review and approval.
Jason, did that memo go out in email or is it still coming?
So I sent this to the group on Monday,
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
So we just didn't,
Yep,
just
we
didn't
Yeah,
catch it.
because there was a lot of background in
And
there.
I have it
about-
up if anybody
it's-
wants,
A
but-
lot of work has
Yeah.
been done on this previously.
Good. Any other questions on? Oh, yeah, go ahead, Allison.
Yeah, I had some questions I think I had emailed to Jason. I just would love to have some discussion on it.
Yeah.
Was there anything different about this MOU than what it's looked like in the past?
No. And the MOU, no. And then the resolution that the Parks Commission and Board of Commissioners approved in 22 was very similar. So trying to work on that comprehensive plan. And it's consistent with our Parks and Rec plan as well from 21.
And then
So-
on the resolution that the board passed in 2022, there was a statement that said, the citizens of Ottawa County have indicated their support for the water trail. And I don't doubt that. I just wondered, how do we know?
I think probably through our recreation plans and our surveys.
Okay.
And through, you all as residents representing the county. So,
And then all feedback's been positive. There hasn't been any questions of, okay.
yeah, I think, and how many kayak launches do we have now?
Oh, we've got,
5, I think.
Cool.
Yeah,
and
we'll
then-
have 5 with Ottawa
I
Sands.
was saying,
So those are the formal, fully accessible ones. There are other access sites that
Right.
people use.
Well,
but-
and then there's one at Spring Lakes, that makes 6. So it really complements the work that we've already been doing with the Grand River, and then helps make it receive that state designation.
Because the memo stated it, but it was designated at one time as a historic
Yeah.
water trail. That designation is defunct now,
Right.
so we're trying to get it redesignated under the current.
can you
Mistake.
explain who did that in the past? Like, how did it become an historic?
It was much less formal. It wasn't even a state program. It was a professor at Western Michigan University that coordinated it. That's about as much as I know. It was Dave Mazurik, Jason's predecessor, who worked on it quite a bit.
So it wasn't a state?
No, it wasn't a state
Okay,
designation.
I just want to make
No.
sure. I didn't think so, but I wanted
No.
to clarify. Okay.
Good. Any other questions? Comments? All right, we'll go ahead and put it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. So we will keep moving on to, if anyone has any agenda items for the next meeting, please just go ahead and let me know. I guess just formality for anything to be added to the agenda, it has to be approved by a majority here, or the president can do it also. And then public comment, we still don't have anyone in the audience. Hopefully folks online, is there anyone new online? Can you tell? Or is there a greater number than before?
We're at 5, and we're at 3 a couple minutes
Okay,
ago.
anyone online who would like to submit any comments for public comment to be read out loud at our next meeting is free to do so at ocparks@miottawa.org. Or just reach out to park staff if you need help with that. And then we'll go on to number 15, which is Commissioner's Prerogative. What this is for new folks is we just go around the horn. If anyone has anything to add that's parks related, that wasn't on the agenda, just kind of an informal opportunity to offer some comment, dialogue briefly. We'll just try to do that and wrap up the meeting. So let me start on this end since Roger's new. Allison, do you have anything?
Just been sharing at local township meetings that we're looking forward to the Park Strategy Committee, kind of keeping them up to speed, and that their voices will be able to be heard at some point.
Okay, good.
I have
Joe?
nothing.
All right, Jim? Linda? I'll just go ahead real quick. I just wanted to offer up how awesome it was to see folks out in parks over the holidays. I think we went out to Crockery Creek on early the morning of New Year's Day, so I thought everyone would still be in bed and the parking lot was overflowing. So I guessed that wrong, but it was great. I mean, just we went to Pigeon Creek, went all over the place for the holidays, and just lots of people out and enjoying parks and offering up some smiles and waves, and it was just kind of neat to experience. So, and they all looked great, restrooms and everything too. So, Jane?
Nothing other than to say welcome to Bruce and Roger. Glad you're here. If you have any questions, let any of us know. And yeah, just glad to have you. And glad we have two more parks lovers amongst us. So
Good. Lucas?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Bruce, anything?
Along with your comment, Kelly, and I've talked with Jason about this and Allison in the past too. I came from out of state 14 years ago, and I've spent a lot of time in Colorado in the West. And I grew up junior high and high school next to a national park about 10 miles away in South Dakota, Buffalo and Antelope and all that. And then in western Colorado for 18 years, about 3 or 4 miles as the crow flies from a national monument, Red Rock Canyons. And when I moved to Michigan in Spring Lake in 2009, my wife and I took a hike in the fall onto Rosie Mountain, first park we'd gone to, and all the steps and all the catwalks, and I thought, this is like, facility-wise, this is like national park quality. And I thought, some people have put some time, energy, money, and effort in getting this done. And so we go to a lot of parks. And I've been off. I retired a couple of years ago, and I went to Pigeon Creek 4 times this last week, cross-country skiing, and it is incredible. And I went to Riley Trails on Sunday, so that was 5 times in a week. That was a Michigan record. To have good enough snow to do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I really appreciate the parks in the county, and Jason gave me some info and showed me the Ottawa Sands and some other things, projects, and Rosie Mound, the sand area. And anyway, I'm impressed, and I'm glad to be a part, and hopefully I can offer some input. And I don't have long time experience, obviously, other than a user, and I enjoy doing that. So anyway, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good. Thanks, Bruce. Paul?
Thanks for that, Bruce.
Yeah.
Great. I have nothing.
Okay. Roger?
Just for those that don't know me, I started my professional career at the Kent County Road and Park Commission, and was kind of ensconced in the park department, even though my focus area was more in transportation. I have a special place in my heart for Ottawa County parks. Growing up, having family reunions at Grosse Park. I spent some time with Jason last week. He explained, and I've seen this, I chair the Planning and Policy Committee for the Board of Commissioners, and a lot of the things coming through, we're kind of in the building and the main, we're going to start kind of shifting towards maintaining. And so I feel like that's kind of an area where I feel like I can kind of provide a little bit of, just my background in asset management. And I was a former public works director and maintained parks and communities in West Michigan. And way back when, worked with Kurt on some of the trails connecting Kent County to Ottawa County. And so I feel like I'm excited for opportunity to kind of be involved and share what I've learned and learn from you folks as well.
Great. Thanks, Roger. All right. Now we will need a motion, and then we'll do roll call to go into closed session.
So move.
All right. Thanks, Jane.
Support.
Thanks, Lucas. All right, Kylie, would you like to take roll, and then we'll disconnect from the YouTube channel?
Rice,
Yes.
Longstreet,
Yes.
McCaffrey, Thomas,
Yes.
Bush,
Yes.
Greenlee,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Zach.
Just.
All right, we'll give it just a sec for Riley to end that.
And as we're